we start, we would like to introduce ourselves first.
Hi, my name is Shasha Shahira binti Muhammad Abdi Izzah.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Narisha binti Cik Yusof.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Aisyah binti Abdul Rahman.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Amalia binti Ahmad Jafri.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Amira Nadira binti Ma'aini.
Petroleum Nasional Berhad, commonly known as PETRONAS, is a Malaysian oil and gas company. The company is headquarters at the PETRONAS Twin Towers, Kuala Lumpur, established in 1974 and wholly owned by the Government of Malaysia. The group is engaged in a broad spectrum of petroleum activities, including upstream exploration and production of oil and gas to downstream oil refining. Next, Petronas Group Human Resource Management operates through a formal organization structure with delineated line of authority, responsibility, and accountability. The HRM LOA guidelines and procedures are established and implemented to govern and monitor human capital management, which is represented by the entire GHRM value chain, such as organization development and job management, leadership and capability development, top talent management, employee relation and industrial relation, and remuneration management. The GHRM leadership team is the main platform that deliberates and decides on matters related to HRM strategy, investment, policy, guidelines, project, and performance review. Then, matters related to HRM strategy, policy, review, and enhancement are further deliberated at the ELT People Development Committee. Next, the GHRM Risk Management Committee was established to strike and deliberate on risk matters pertaining to the effectiveness of human capital solution, as well as to address business dynamic and sustain continuously talent at all levels to achieve Petronas business strategy. And the Petronas Talent Council deliberate on issue and risks impacting Petronas corporate critical position.
The structure is meant to create a business operating model that is flatter, leaner and more efficient. It is part of the series of steps that Petronas is taking to help the organization do better in tough external environments. It is the start of the change that will affect the whole group and make it stronger and more focused, so that it can do well in the industry now and in the future. For Petronas company, it has adopted the functional organization structure. It allows workers to specialize and concentrate on their particular field. There are interfunctional connections between the functional division and department. The success of the organization is due to the link and process of specialization. All departments collaborate to fulfill the organization objective and the aim. This has been beneficial for the organization, its workers, customers, suppliers, and the community as a whole. Next, the line of power is clearly delineated and instructions are issued from the highest level, which is the President and the CEO, who is Yang Mulia Datuk Tengku Muhammad Taufik. Petronas has also enlisted the help of outside experts to boost their organization productivity and efficiency. Every leader in an organization play an important role to bring the organization to a higher level and achieving organizational goals. Now, let's move to the strategic role. The Human Resources Management Division of Petronas try to be the strategic partner in the business area. Its goal is to come up with and implement human resources strategies, approaches, and services that help the workforce and add value to the organization. Along with the HR value chain, there are many different functions such as organizational design, training for people, finding talent, people development, performance management, compensation, and employee or industrial relation. In the Human Resources Management Division, they keep up with technological changes by reducing the number of administrative tasks that had to be done by hand. They also started to automate many HR processes by putting in place a Human Resources Management System HRIS. HR is expected to move from focusing on Human Resources Management HRM to focusing on Strategic Human Resources Management SHRM because of Human Resources Management System HRIS. This strategic role not only adds something valuable to the HR function, but it also changes the skill that HR professionals and practitioners need to have to be successful. Besides, there is a growth on three front strategies, which are maximizing cash generators, expanding core business, and stepping out. PETRONAS is doing this by taking smart steps to keep production going, even though the pandemic has caused some problems. They make sure that their stakeholders always had energy, which show how strong and flexible their operations are.
Next is PETRONAS policy. The first policy is PETRONAS Code of Conduct and Business Ethics. It contains detailed policy statement on the standard of behavior and ethical conduct expected of each individual to whom the code applies. The code is to apply to all employees and directors within the PETRONAS Group worldwide. PETRONAS also expects that contractor, subcontractor, consultant, agent, representative, and other performing work or services for or on behalf of PETRONAS will comply with the relevant part of the code when performing such work or services, such as under Part 3, provision on workplace culture and environment contains specific detail on unlawful discrimination, dress code, sexual harassment, non-business workplace, relationship, occupational health and safety and environment, substance misuse, and many more. Secondly, PETRONAS anti-bribery and corruption policy and guideline, which is applicable to all employees as well as the third party. PETRONAS enforces zero tolerance for all forms of bribery and corruption. There are no gift policy, and PETRONAS integrity compliance framework collectively aim to further fortify the culture of ethics and integrity across the group. Lastly, PETRONAS whistleblowing policy. The policy encourages disclosure of any form of improper misconduct where matters raised are deliberated by the whistleblowing committee. Such misconduct on criminal offences include fraud, bribery, abuse of power, conflict of interest, theft of embezzlement, misuse of company property, non-compliance with procedure, and many more.
So next, I will explain about human resource practices. HRM practices are very common and mostly it is a must in all of the organization or industrial for its growth and balance in managing human capital wisely. Before selecting the best HRM policy and practices of the company, it is very important to undergo a research and study to determine the suitable HRM policy which will suit the environment. The management team should always focus on long-term and the company's vision and mission before making and implementation any changes to HRM practices and policy. The following are the area of HRM practices that should be focused by the organization before implementation. We have employees development and training, staff performance appraisal, selection and recruitment process in staffing, benefits and compensation, transfer, promotion and demotion, reorganization, reward system, healthcare, safety, and lastly, empowerment.
So for the next part is the specific focus done by PETRONAS on the performance appraisal system. The practice of assessing and documenting an employee standards and performance is completing a task that has been assigned for them for a specific amount of time is known as a performance appraisal. There are two elements that has been implemented by PETRONAS for their performance appraisal system, which is appraisal meetings and 360-degree feedback system. The purpose of an appraisal meeting is to inform all parties involved, including employees, manager, human resource representative, and other supervisor, depending on the organizational structure and type of performance appraisal being conducted, about the objective, result, and overall workplace performance. This performance appraisal system also allows them to compare the performance level and achievement of the staff according to the level and position. The organization should be honest and transparent while presenting the performance appraisal in order to have fair performance evaluations. In this session, PETRONAS provided performance appraisal form. The form is done by the department head of PETRONAS annually. The year increase, bonuses, and promotion are all heavily influenced by this appraisal in the end. By putting in place this performance appraisal, the corporation is encouraging its staff to work harder and make it successful. Now we move to the performance management process. The first component that should be involved in the performance management process is prerequisites. It's essential to acquire complete knowledge of the works in issue. They must know what tasks need to be done, how they are to be done, and what knowledge, skills, and abilities are needed to do them. For example, in Petronas, they must have leadership skills. Petronas emphasizes leadership by empowering leaders with clear ownership and accountability in order to make an effective decisions. Secondly is performance planning. In order to determine what has to be done and the supervisors and the employees has been made. This performance planning conversations takes into account both outcomes, cognitive behaviors in addition to a development strategy. This part is needed to make sure that Petronas can include a description of areas that need to be improving and goals to be achieved in each area. Third component is performance executions. At this part, Petronas make sure the person must be dedicated to the objective that were established. Allowing the employee to actively participate in the goal setting process is one of the methods to increase commitment. The employee also should give the leader regular updates on how well they are doing with reaching their goals in terms of both actions and outcomes. Next is performance assessment, evaluating the extent to which the intended behaviors have been demonstrated and whether the expected results have been attained is the responsibility of the both employee and the manager. Assessing behavior may be conducted by writing an evaluation describing the employee's weaknesses or strengths and which part to be improved. Petronas have done it by contributing appraisal forms in which the employee must fill it out.
Now we move to the HR procedures in Petronas to an effective performance management system. First is Petronas does plan all the process and work goals for every employee. As we all know, planning means employees will set up the process to gain work goals, which involve the employees in the process and help them to understand their job, especially on what they need to do and how well they should do that. An outcome-based statement will stating what is expected and what the result should be achieved. For attaining the goal setting, the online EPM form is available in the My Passport system for employees in Petronas to fill in and plan their performance objective. Secondly, Petronas does monitor the KPI and employee targets. Monitoring means observing the continuous project. How is the project going on and how the employee is going with their specific job. In Petronas specifically, key metric used to measure achievements of performance objective with goals intended to be attained. By monitoring, any unacceptable process can be removed as well as it is easy to identify the useful contents and can give the proper instruction to the employees. Third, Petronas does develop the result of each employee. Development is an important process for an organization. All organizations should evaluate and address employee development. For Petronas, only result is required for performance progress or outcomes. Result write-up must have a corresponding relation to their KPI. The employee's result also may lead to actions of giving them training, giving them proper instructions, encouraging them in their tasks, and helping them in their work when they work in their working place. Next is rating. For every single period of time, Petronas measure the employee's performance, whatever they have done or achieved within the certain period of time. This method is very useful to equate the performance of all employees over a certain period. Performance will be classified based on the grades, which are 1. Outstanding, 2. Exceed expectations, 3. Meet expectations, and last 4. Below expectations. Lastly is rewarding. As we all know, rewarding means greeting workers separately or in a grouping. A basic principle of effective administration is that all activities are controlled by its consequences. This part undeniably, all employees love to receive rewards even in a small amount. For Petronas itself, bonus will be given depending on employee yearly performance, which is subjective, but normally once a year due to fluctuations of the oil price. They can get more if the company generates outburst income.
In the nutshell, Petronas has very effective and well-balanced human resources management practices because of the company continues to grow and change along with its employees. Petronas has taken the most proactive approach, which gives it a big edge over its competitors. Based on the Petronas HRM practices and policy as a whole, it is clear that employees are very loyal, committed, and confident in their company. Petronas has changed its human resources management procedures and policies over the course of the year to meet internal and external needs and give workers a better future. PETRONAS has also been developing and using a number of human resources strategies to grow and expand internationally. No matter what happens, there are a number of claims and PETRONAS HRM policies could be better. The current volatility in oil prices and the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic make it even more important for oil and gas companies in other heavy process industry to keep looking for ways to improve that will help their bottom line.
That's all from us. Thank you so much for listening.